Since the start of this decade, VR has just experienced exponential growth, and that's mostly just because of Meta. Right as the decade started, they gave us the Quest 2, a great priced, well-known device, debatably one of the greatest, and even today it's still a great purchase. And the successor of this headset is also really good too, rightfully being named the Quest 3, a thinner and stronger headset with AR capabilities, being their latest one that came out last year. And I feel like the VR industry would just not be the same without these two. They were both ambitious in their own way, and are well known and very loved. But I believe I actually missed one. The headset that came right between these two, the Quest Pro. And it's interesting because no one really even talks about this headset anymore. When the conversation of what headset to get comes up, this one's barely even talked about. It just seems like it's just stuck in the shadow of the other two headsets and it can't just break out. And in a way, this is quite literally the black sheep of the family. But why? Well, it did a lot of good things and it also did a lot of not so good things. So let's go back to the ancient time of 2021. This was the same time when Oculus would go and turn into Meta, and they'd be talking a lot about the metaverse and how they wanted to be a bigger part and all that stuff. And a lot of people just weren't picking up what they were putting down, and it just seemed they wanted to be a little more controlling over people's VR experience. So that already left a sour taste in people's mouths, and on October 25th, 2022, the Quest Pro is finally released, and would be their first product that'd have the name Meta in their name. Alright then, so what sets it apart from the Quest 2? Well, firstly, it'd switch out the old lenses for these new pancake lenses. These lenses would be much thinner than the Quest 2, and they were able to be so thin because it'd bend light back and forth multiple times, and it would do this in a very small area. And it would also give you a clear image. But interestingly enough, the Quest Pro and 2 have almost the exact same resolution. But even though they were the same, the Quest Pro was just a little more crisp, all thanks to the new lenses, also with a little bit of higher FOV too. So that's nice, but what else did it do? Even though technically not the headset itself, the controllers that came with this are some of the greatest to date. They would be able to finally get rid of the big rings on the controllers, and they were able to do that by putting cameras all around the controller. So instead of the big bulky ring, it just did it with the cameras. And people love these controllers. There's people who just buy the controllers separately just for the Quest 2 so they don't have to use the old ones. So yeah, those were improvements, but I haven't even said the two major things that separate this from the Quest 2. And that's because of two new features. One of them being that the Quest Pro was their first mixed reality headset. The pass-through that came with the Quest Pro would be fully in color. And even though there wasn't too much to do with it when it first came out, this was a really nice change. And it just makes it easier just to get out of VR just to quickly check something. But I've been saving the best feature for last. The Quest Pro would come with full eye and face tracking. So then in social situations, you'd be able to move your eyes, your mouth, and even stick your tongue out, just to give a little more expression to people. And just having a little more expression can go a long way. Wow, this technology seems great. A really innovative, high piece of technology. This should be great for VR enthusiasts. What could go wrong? Well, a lot. A lot went wrong. So let's just start off with the price. This headset would cost $1,500, their most expensive headset they've ever made. And most of you probably already know a lot of consumers are just not gonna pay that, especially when the Quest 2 still exists and it's only $300 at this time. Before this headset was announced, we knew it was gonna be high end, but we had no idea it was gonna be like this. And also before it was released, how this was marketed and talked about was just so different from the others. I could try to explain it, but Mark said it best.
This is a high-end device, designed for work and for people who want the best experience that we can build today.
So instead of this one just being advertised just playing games and having fun with your friends, it was just designed for work and for being more business oriented. And now, just for a show of hands, how many of you would buy this headset just specifically for work? I'm assuming that the majority of you just didn't raise your hand. And for the ones who did, I don't know why you did, I can't see it. This technology is just too new and not many people can find a real practical use for it. So yeah, the advertising just backfired on itself. But no, we're not done yet. So do you think that the Quest Pro would do everything better than the Quest 2 does? But that's just not true. So the Quest Pro would be bigger and bulkier than the Quest 2. The Quest Pro would weigh 722 grams, but the Quest 2 would weigh 503 grams. So yeah, that's not so much, but most people would want a lighter headset anyways. And I said the resolution was about the same, but the refresh rate just wasn't. Quest Pro would have 90 Hz, while the Quest 2 would have 120 Hz. So the Quest 2 would have a smoother experience than the Quest Pro, for less money. Even the battery was better on the Quest 2 than the Quest Pro. Quest 2 battery would last you 3 hours, Quest Pro's battery would last you 2. So you get less playtime with the Quest Pro. So in a lot of ways, the Quest 2 just seems better than the Quest Pro. Not in all areas, but some of them. There was a small thing that the Quest Pro would have that the Quest 2 didn't. The Quest Pro would have a full range IPD adjustment, while the Quest 2 only has those 3 fixed positions. So Quest Pro, good job with that. But at the end of the day, which one would you choose? The one that's $300 or the one that costs 5 times that? And sure, you can make some really advanced technology, but if it costs too much, no one's gonna buy it. And because of that, the Quest Pro would just struggle with sales. The price tag was just too big. So in March 5th, 2023, they would finally lower the price of the Quest Pro and make it $1,000. Which, yeah, that's better, but that didn't really persuade too many people. But it still had some unique features like the pass-through, and the pancake lenses and ringless controllers. So maybe it's actually pretty good to buy, and maybe for a short time it was. But then that would all change when the big Quest 3 decided to show up. So the Quest 3 would be released in October of 2023. So now Meta has 3 headsets to choose from. So if we look at the Quest 3 and Quest Pro specs, the Quest Pro just struggles in almost every category. So first let's go with the price. The Quest Pro is now $1,000 and the Quest 3 would release at $500. So that price is already cut in half. So how about the resolution? So the Quest Pro's resolution would be 1800 by 1920 per eye, but the Quest 3's resolution would be 2064 by 2208. And also keep in mind, these both have the new pancake lenses in them. So again, the Quest 3 is just better. And the Quest 3's refresh rate would be 120, while the Quest Pro is still stuck at 90. And also the Quest 3's FOV is just slightly bigger than the Quest Pro's. Did I also mention the Quest 3 was just thinner and lighter? And the Quest 3 weighs 515 grams. So pretty much the same as the Quest 2. So that's lighter than the Quest Pro. So another point to Quest 3. And the Quest 3 also has AR capabilities. And it's so much better than what the Quest Pro can do. And that's because the Quest 3 has a depth sensor right in the middle. And the Quest Pro just doesn't have a depth sensor. So if we look back at everything, the Quest 3 has better resolution, a better refresh rate, it's lighter, it's thinner, its AR technology is better, and it's half the price of the Quest Pro. And I almost forgot to mention that the graphics are just better on the Quest 3 because of the chip. So with all that said, why would you even want a Quest Pro at all? The only thing it has going for it is its eye and face tracking, and that one feature that it has left is just not enough. And the only other positive thing about the Quest Pro is that the head strap is actually pretty good, while one of the biggest complaints about the Quest 3 is that the head strap is not so good. So then you don't have to buy a third-party head strap to make it better, but even if you do that with the Quest 3, it's still cheaper than the Quest Pro altogether. So then with all that being said, does anybody even want a Quest Pro anymore? Like, at all? So then I decided I wanted to put that to the test. I asked which headset people would rather buy, and surprise surprise, Quest Pro's in last. Well, I guess it does beat none, so good job. But the Quest Pro doesn't even break 10%, while the Quest 3 is the clear winner. And the Quest 2 at least has something going on with it. The Quest Pro just has borderline nothing going on with it. And if we look to see what headsets are being used on Steam, the Quest 2 is at number 1 with 38%, and the Quest 3 is at about 15% at number 3. And to see where the Quest Pro is, we have to go all the way down to number 13. Which is not even breaking a percent. Even the original Oculus Quest is beating it, and they don't even sell it anymore. I know the majority of people don't use Steam VR, but this still paints a good picture on how the Quest Pro is doing. So with all this, does Meta even care about the Quest Pro anymore? Well, I'm not for certain, but it really doesn't look like it. Because on July 19th, 2023, it was reported that Meta was in the process of discontinuing the Quest Pro, and that they've scrapped plans for a successor model. But I'm not really sure how true this is, since you can still buy the Quest Pro on their website. So either that's wrong or people really just aren't buying the Quest Pro at all. So now I'm just gonna give my opinion and overall thoughts about this headset. But before I do that, if you like this video and just really enjoy VR content, I would suggest subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate it if you did, and if you don't want to, well, you know, it is what it is. Now back to the Quest Pro. The Quest Pro is in just such an awkward position. It costs just so much while there's a better product that costs half of that. It just doesn't make any sense why it's so expensive still. Like, yeah, it's a good headset and like there's nothing bad about it, there's just better alternatives. The only things that it had going for it are just things that the Quest 3 can just do. So like, is eye and face tracking really that expensive? Does that really justify the $1,000 price tag? Because I just don't think so. This headset could get discontinued today and no one will care. So this device just felt like it was doomed from the start. But if you already have one, there's really not much reason to get rid of it. It's still really good and really powerful for what it is. And if face and eye tracking just really matters to you and you're just a VR chat goblin, then yeah, this one is pretty much up your alley. So the headset itself has no issues with it, it's just the environment that it was brought into. And there's a good chance that this headset may just never get a successor, but only time will tell with that. So pretty much the two big takeaways from this video, I'd say that pricing and marketing are just huge factors and are so important, because if it's too expensive, no one's gonna get it. And the last big takeaway from this video is just buy a Quest 2 or 3. Trust me, you'll thank me later.